One thing I forgot to mention in the other video is, the regular upload isn't working for me, only the reply upload. So I'm replying to some videos that are in my potential DVD list, and there's about a lot of crap in there, and I'm not going to take the time necessarily to watch the video before I reply. But you can go there and see which ones made it on the list, some inappropriately so. But anyway, yeah, I wanted to say something about this political issue, because I brought up this commissary for retirees idea, the idea that I should be able to buy products that the government buys for personal use, and I have some other ideas, including a couple that I was gonna bring up, and make videos for, could have uh, when I did the commissary one, but I thought I'd let the commissary one settle there on its own. So. So yeah, a bit of suspense as to where it's going, and is it total communism that I'm trying to unleash with my slippery slope? No, it's not. It's a hybrid thing, because the main thing I reject is this idea that it's some sort of unsolvable puzzle. That, oh, it's too complex. You need invisible hands to do it for you. I don't like that metaphor. I don't. I think that's crazy, and I really don't like that these economic questions are set up as some sort of an enigmatic, unanswerable riddle. That's bullshit. Especially when you got people answering it. It can't be done as they rake in the money. They've evidently found an answer of how to work the system, and it's not pretty when you find out how it is. Now, some pretty things happen. There's still human innovation, but I don't credit our economy with the human tendency to invent wonderful new ways of doing things. It's supposed to work together, but it's not the source of it, as if without the economy. No, I mean, it was our ingenuity that led us to put ourselves in situations where we needed more and more of a system to help support that. You have just your average little county spending hundreds of millions of dollars, at least in concert with its little towns around it. And is that money really spent as well as it could be? I mean, we act like, oh, every time you spend $1 on the commons, some complicated vortex makes it a black hole that costs billions of dollars. you know and I see that, yeah, a lot of the money just goes to things that could be made more efficient, you know but I'm not talking about efficiencies by systems that have inefficiencies as they get corrupt or have been fed more money than they needed and have just reacted to that. I mean whole different ways, things like having this commissary, ways of spending the money, to bring people in touch with the kinds of infrastructure that they need. Because when you provide that kind of an infrastructure for a human being, that human being is productive, will become productive. It's because humans want to be productive, and you're enabling it more than you are incentivizing or directing it. Okay, and that's why I do believe that in a hybrid solutions with things like market, because that's a way that you don't guess ahead, you don't double guess and think the future and find out what has to be the case. You back off and you leave it to people. So there's various kinds of voting mechanisms in game theory, mechanisms whereby through your actions, or you get a chance to actually say, you get to influence a group decision. A market is a good one because of the kind of voting is through action. It's very active. What you do in the market uh, is where you put your energy and time, and that's how your vote gets tallied up. And that's good, because often when you just ask people, what do you want, or what do you think, and you give them check boxes to list off, they don't necessarily know exactly. It's not how they're thinking about it. But when it comes time to act, even if people do their actions thoughtlessly, then that's what they're thinking. Hey, I'll do something thoughtless. You know what I mean? Or it's as if they are. It's a more direct thing, because rather than saying, well, what do you think, and let's write a story about it, even if the story is just a check mark in one box rather than another. It's just like, well, hey, go do your thing, and we get to watch and see what the preferences are, right? People could say, oh, well, healthy foods are the most important thing for me, and we watch, they go buy junk food. We see what their, values really are through their real actions. But I just don't like when people say, oh, we don't know where to spend money. I do, basically on infrastructure. When you build things that people can use, it's hard to go wrong. If you go so far as to do something very wasteful, might take a long time for it to go anywhere. Maybe so long that it will decay before it pulls off. Let's just say you build a road to nowhere. Well, it won't stay nowhere. People are going to go out there. If you just do it, maybe it'll become crime ridden and it won't be a good thing. Like I'm saying, it won't pay off because of that. But people will go out there. They'll go out there and hang out some little amount of people. And if you're smarter than that and you build it to somewhere, to an airport or something, probably houses, little neighborhoods will sprout up. If you enable people, they react by utilizing these things to survive. And it's not some crazy, unanswerable, enigmatic uh, Zen cone. The question of how do we spend money, but we need to be a little bit more creative because not only do we have systems prone to corruption in some cases, you know, but also the systems that aren't prone to corruption, you know, they may be doing their job, but when you're optimizing something, you have to look for the inefficiencies. One system it doesn't have any inefficiencies in its parts, but if you change the system around, you can get it more miniature. It's something more to the point. You can take a system with 50 pieces and say, look, I can do the same job with 5, and it will be more efficient, right? So there's like two issues with efficiency. There's what you can optimize after the fact when you have the system, and there's just creating a new efficient system. So yeah, my ideas are like that. What kinds of infrastructure? What practical things? And so they're almost generally some hybrid nature. Private decision is always involved, and sometimes there's very unfettered uh, freedom. Uh, Marketplace freedom. Sometimes, like in medicine, there's controlled, regulated, hybrid market. So anyway, so a little bit of insight on what I think is at stake with these kinds of ideas.